Lieutenant Jackson Cole stood still in his formal Earth Alliance uniform. The crystal walls of the Cerethian palace sparkled around him. Light from two purple suns passed through the glass-like pillars, making the whole hall glow. This was not just any building. It was the heart of the Cerethian Empire, one of the oldest and most powerful alien empires in the galaxy. Jackson was nervous. He had been sent to represent humanity at the Galactic Unity Summit, a gathering of all advanced species to discuss peace, trade, and alliances. It was Earth's first time being invited, and Jackson? He was just a soldier, not a diplomat. But the Alliance chose him for a reason. He was brave, honest, and spoke plainly. Today, the summit had reached its final ceremony, and all leaders were present. Standing on a raised platform was Queen Villaria of Cerethia. She was tall, graceful, and powerful. Her skin shimmered like silver and her eyes held the weight of centuries. Most delegates feared her. She rarely smiled, and she spoke only when necessary. Jackson had met her only once before. She had stared at him, not speaking, for nearly a minute before finally saying, "You are interesting." That was it. Nothing else. Now, in this great hall, she stood as the central figure in the final peace ceremony. Around her were nobles from her empire, alien rulers and representatives from across the galaxy. Music played, dancers from different worlds performed. The atmosphere was calm, peaceful. Jackson, standing at the side of the hall with other human delegates, scanned the crowd. His soldier instincts never left him. Something felt off. He noticed a shadow on the upper balcony, a slight glint of metal, a small movement. His heart jumped. A flash of silver flew through the air. It was an arrow, long, sharp, and glowing with green poison, and it was heading straight for Queen Villaria. Jackson didn't think. He didn't plan. He ran. Everything slowed down. He pushed past guards. He jumped onto the platform. He heard gasps, saw shocked faces, but he kept his eyes on the arrow. Time seemed frozen. And then, pain. The arrow struck his shoulder just as he turned to shield the queen. He fell to the ground, the green poison already burning through his veins. He felt his body grow cold, then numb. Voices shouted around him, but they were fading. Queen Villaria knelt beside him. Her face was unreadable. Her hand gently touched his face. "You saved me," she whispered. Jackson tried to speak, but everything went black. He woke up much later in a soft bed, surrounded by strange machines and glowing lights. The ceiling above him was made of smooth white stone. The room smelled like flowers and something sweet. He groaned. "Do not move," said a soft voice. "The poison was strong, but your human body is impressive." Jackson turned his head slowly. Queen Villaria sat beside his bed. No guards, no nobles, just her. You're okay?" he asked, his voice rough. "I am," she said. "Because of you." Jackson tried to sit up, but pain shot through his chest. "I thought I was dead," he muttered. "You almost were," she said. "Our healers had never seen a poison like that work on a human, but your cells fought it. Strange, remarkable." He looked at her closely. She was not wearing her crown. Her silver hair was loose. Her expression was softer than before. "I just reacted," he said. "Didn't think, just moved." "Why?" she asked. "Why risk your life for me? You barely know me." Jackson looked at the ceiling, thinking. "I'm a soldier," he said. "My job is to protect people. Doesn't matter if they're human, alien, royal, or not. I saw a threat. I moved." Queen Villaria sat silently for a long moment. "On Cerethia, such selfless acts are rare," she said. "We are taught to calculate, to plan, to protect only what benefits the Empire. You are different." Jackson gave a small smile. "Yeah, humans are weird like that." A soft laugh escaped her lips. The first time Jackson had heard her laugh. It was quiet but real. "You saved the life of a queen," she said. In our culture, that is not a small thing. It creates a life debt, one that must be repaid with honor. Jackson frowned. I didn't do it for a reward. That is why it matters, she replied. The door opened and Cerethian guards stepped in, but she raised her hand. Leave us. They obeyed immediately. She turned back to him. Rest now. Your body is healing. But know this, Jackson Cole. Your actions have changed everything. As she stood and walked out, Jackson lay back and sighed. He didn't understand alien politics. He didn't care about fame. But something in Queen Valaria's eyes had changed. Something deep. And for the first time, Jackson wondered, what exactly had he just gotten himself into? Jackson Cole sat on a balcony inside the Cerethian royal palace. A gentle breeze moved through the air, carrying the scent of sweet alien flowers. He wore a loose silver robe. He hated it, but the doctors said it helped his skin heal from the poison side effects. His arm still ached. The scar where the poisoned arrow hit was greenish and glowing faintly. The Cerethian healers said it might never fully go away. A mark of survival. He stared at the twin suns slowly setting behind the purple mountains of Valthara Prime, a view he never expected to see. And now, he wasn't even sure if he would ever leave. Your pulse is higher than normal, said a voice behind him. Jackson turned. A floating orb hovered nearby, projecting a small image of Dr. Threx, the lead alien healer. Her 4 eyes blinked in a slow pattern that meant concern. I'm fine, Doc, Jackson said, just thinking. You are stable, she said, but the Cerethian court is not. What do you mean? Jackson asked. The Queen visits you every day, alone, without guards, without counsel. That is unusual. Dangerous, even. Jackson sighed. I didn't ask for that. No, Threx said, but you earned it. Later that evening, Queen Valaria entered his chamber. She didn't knock. Royals never did. She wore a deep violet robe that shimmered as she walked. Her long silver hair was braided with glowing threads. She looked like a living star. I hope I'm not disturbing you, she said. You never disturb me, Jackson replied, trying not to sound nervous. She sat across from him at a round glass table. A servant brought glowing blue tea and left without a word. I watch the news, Jackson said after a moment. Seems like the whole galaxy knows what happened. Yes, Valaria answered. You are a hero. I don't feel like one. You saved my life knowing it might cost you your own. I didn't think, I just acted. That is why it matters. They drank tea in silence for a while. Then she leaned forward. Jackson Cole, she said slowly. You have changed the way my people see humans. He raised an eyebrow. Good or bad? Both, she said honestly. Many admire your courage. Some fear your unpredictability. Others, she hesitated. Others think I have become too close to you. He leaned back. You mean they think you've gone soft? Valaria did not answer, but the silence said enough. They'll get over it, Jackson said with a grin. Or maybe they won't. Either way, I'm not going to apologize for saving you. She smiled softly. There is something else, she said. Jackson tilted his head. What? In our tradition, when someone saves a royal life, a life debt is formed. It cannot be broken. It must be repaid. I've heard about that, he said. But I never really understood what it meant. It means, she said carefully, that I must honor you above all others. In some cases, it means union. Jackson blinked. Union, as in marriage? Valaria nodded once. Jackson nearly choked on his tea. Wait, are you asking me to marry you? It is not a demand, she said. It is a choice, but if I offer and you accept, our bond becomes sacred. It will protect you. It will give Earth power and status, and it will honor the debt. Jackson was silent. His mind spun with thoughts. He looked at her. She was beautiful, powerful, mysterious, but this was fast. Too fast. You don't even know me, he said finally. That is true, she replied calmly. But I want to. and I believe you are worth knowing." He stood and walked to the edge of the balcony, breathing deeply. "Velaria, I'm just a soldier, not a prince, not a politician. You are more than that. I have seen it." He turned back to face her. "And if I say no, the debt remains. But the honor would be incomplete, and the council might take it as rejection. So, political mess either way." "Yes," he sighed. "Can I think about it?" "You may," she said, "but not for long." The next morning, he received a message from Earth Command. "Lieutenant Cole," the admiral's voice said, "you've started quite the storm out there. The Queen's proposal is being talked about on every planet from Earth to Xandor 6. The Council supports you, whatever you choose. But know this. Marrying her would tie Earth to the Cerethian Empire. It would change everything." Jackson watched the message twice. Then he turned it off and walked to the window. Down below in the gardens, Queen Velaria was walking alone. He didn't know what the right answer was. But one thing was clear. Nothing would ever be the same again. The next few days were full of whispers. In the great halls of the Cerethian palace, nobles argued in low voices. Some believed Queen Velaria had lost her mind. Others warned that the Queen's bond with a human would bring danger. And many feared that Earth, a young and unpredictable world, would soon have power in one of the oldest empires in the galaxy. But none of that reached Jackson Cole. Not yet. He was still recovering, still confused. The poison had left his body, but his thoughts were heavy. Queen Velaria's proposal filled his mind. She was serious. This wasn't just politics. She respected him, maybe even liked him. And maybe, deep inside, he felt something too. On the 5th day after the assassination attempt, Jackson was called to the royal chamber. He wore a clean formal robe given to him by palace servants. He hated how tight the collar felt. A small silver badge was pinned over his chest. It showed a star inside a shield, a human symbol of courage. The Queen had requested he wear it. He entered the chamber, and the giant crystal doors closed behind him. Queen Velaria stood by a glowing map of the galaxy. Her eyes watched the stars. "You came," she said without turning. "You called." Jackson replied with a small smile. She looked at him then. Her expression was calm, but serious. "I have made my decision," she said, "and I will speak it before the court tonight." "What decision?" "To offer union." Jackson's chest tightened. "I know this is fast," she said, "but our laws are clear. The life debt must be answered, and my heart agrees." "Your heart?" he asked quietly. "Yes," she said. "I was trained to lead, to never show emotion, but your actions broke something open in me. You are brave Jackson Cole, honest, loyal, and that is rare even among my own kind." Jackson walked to her slowly. "This isn't just about politics, is it?" "No," she said. "But make no mistake, politics will be involved. If you accept, many will be angry, some will try to stop us. There are powerful houses that want me to marry one of their own, not a human." He nodded. "I'm not afraid." She stepped closer. "Then will you accept?" Jackson was silent. He looked into her silver eyes, strange eyes but full of warmth. "I never thought my life would end up like this," he said. "Neither did I." He took a breath. "All right, let's do it." Small smile touched her lips. "Then prepare yourself, we announce it tonight." The great hall was filled with light, sound, and tension. Every noble house of the Cerethian Empire had sent a representative. Alien ambassadors from across the galaxy sat in the upper balconies, and behind them, glowing recorders sent live broadcasts to 1,000 worlds. Jackson stood beside the Queen at the top of the marble stairs. His palms were sweaty. He had never stood before such a large crowd. He tried to keep his face calm. Queen Velaria raised her hand and the hall fell silent. "I stand before you," she said, "not just as your ruler, but as a life saved by courage." She paused. Her voice was steady and clear. "Lieutenant, Jackson Cole of Earth, a world young but brave, gave his body to protect me. He acted not out of duty but out of instinct, honor, and heart. I now honor our oldest tradition. The hall held its breath. I offer union. Gasps, whispers. A few nobles stood in protest. But the Queen's eyes never left Jackson. He stepped forward. I accept, he said loud and clear. And the hall erupted. Some clapped, some shouted, some stormed out. But the message was clear. Something had changed. That night, in a private tower of the palace, Jackson sat by the window. The stars were brighter than usual. Valeria joined him, silent. We did it, he said. We began it, she replied. He looked at her. Do you regret it? No, she said. But I must warn you. The houses that stood against us will not stop here. They will scheme. They may attack. You are a threat to them now. He nodded. Let them come. But as he spoke, in a distant chamber deep under the palace, shadows gathered. A group of nobles in black robes sat in a circle. An earthling cannot rule beside our queen, one hissed. He will change everything, said another. The people admire him, said a third. We must act before the marriage is final. They passed a small data chip down the line. A name, a face, coordinates. Capture the human, quietly. If he disappears, the queen will have no choice but to choose again. And so the plan began. The man who had saved the queen's life now had a target on his back. The moon over Valthara Prime was pale and full that night. Lieutenant Jackson Cole was asleep in his chamber, unaware that danger was creeping closer. 4 shadowy figures slipped through the palace corridors, avoiding cameras, guards, and sensors. They wore armor that absorbed light and made no sound. Their target, the human who dared to accept the queen's proposal. At exactly midnight, the chamber door opened silently. A small gas canister rolled across the floor. White smoke spread. Quickly, Jackson woke up coughing. His eyes burned. He tried to stand, but hands grabbed him. What the? Before he could yell, a needle jabbed into his neck. The world spun. His vision blurred. And then, darkness. In the morning, Queen Valeria stood waiting in the garden. She had invited Jackson for breakfast. The sun rose behind her, painting the sky gold. But he didn't arrive. An hour passed. She sent a message to his room. No reply. Guards were sent. They returned, pale-faced and shaking. Your Majesty, the captain said. He's gone. Gone. Valeria's expression turned to stone. Seal the palace, lock the gates. Nobody enters, nobody leaves. The royal council gathered quickly. This is madness, one noble shouted. You should have never trusted an outsider. This is exactly what we warned about, said another. Valeria stood in silence. Then she spoke, her voice calm but deadly. He was taken. By who? Asked the High Advisor. I don't know, she said. But I will find out. One counselor stood. We cannot risk war over one human. Silence, Valeria roared. The entire chamber froze. She walked slowly to the center of the room. Jackson Cole is not just one human. He is the man who saved my life. He is my chosen. And if anyone here had a hand in this, I swear by the stars. I will burn your houses to ash. Silence. Then she turned and walked out. Her personal guard followed. Jackson woke up inside a dark, metal room. His arms were chained to the wall. His head throbbed. A small light above him blinked. His throat was dry. His chest hurt. But his mind was sharp. A door opened, and a tall figure entered. Black cloak. Face hidden. You should have stayed on Earth, the figure said. Let me guess, Jackson muttered. One of the Queen's jealous ex-boyfriends? The figure chuckled. I am Lord Varn, leader of House Zevkor, and I do not bow to humans. Well, Lord Varn, Jackson said, you've got terrible manners. You are nothing, Varn said. No rank, no wealth, no bloodline. You are a risk to the Empire. And you're a coward, Jackson replied. If you have to kidnap someone in the dark. Varn's smile vanished. You'll be kept here. Until the Queen forgets you. Or until your body is found in the deep mines of Vareth. He turned and left. Jackson sat back against the wall, breathing slowly. I've gotten out of worse, he whispered to himself. Queen Valeria was already moving. She sent her spies across the system. She studied palace records. And then she found it. A security drone had caught a small flickering shadow near Jackson's room. The figure carried a device used only by House Zevkor. Her blood boiled. Without waiting for permission, she boarded her royal cruiser and flew toward Vareth, a mining world controlled by the Zevkor family. She took only 6 of her finest warriors. Loyal, silent, deadly. They wore armor painted in the royal black and gold. As they descended into the thick red atmosphere of Vareth, she stood at the front of the ship. Jackson Cole saved my life, she said. Now we save his. Deep inside the mines, Jackson was already working on escape. He had managed to dislocate his shoulder, painfully, but it gave him just enough room to slip one hand free from the chain. It took him hours. Blood covered his wrist, but he didn't stop. When the guard came with food, Jackson hid his free hand behind his back. As the door opened, Jackson kicked the guard hard in the knee, then tackled him. The two rolled on the floor. Jackson grabbed the guard's shock rod and slammed it into his chest. Crack. The guard dropped. Jackson took his key and freed himself. I told you, he whispered. I've been in worse. Outside the mine, the Queen's ship landed with a thunderous hiss. Guards of House Zevkor surrounded them. This is a private world, their commander said. You have no right to land here. I am your queen, Valeria said, stepping forward. And I do as I wish. The guards raised their weapons, but her warriors moved faster. In seconds, the Cerethian Royal Guard disarmed the entire line. Valeria raised her staff and fired a pulse into the mine entrance, blasting it open. Inside, Jackson was running. Alarms rang. Guards chased him through tunnels and vents. He turned a corner and came face to face with a blast door. No, he muttered. Not now. Boom. The door exploded open. Smoke filled the hallway, and out stepped Queen Valeria, her eyes glowing. With fury. Jackson! He stared at her in shock. How? No time, she said. Get behind me. He obeyed. Her warriors moved like lightning. The tunnel became a storm of plasma and steel. Within minutes, the enemies lay defeated. Jackson stood panting beside her. You came for me, he said. Of course, she replied. You are mine. And for the first time, Jackson believed it fully. The cruiser sliced through space like a blade of fire. Inside, Queen Valeria sat beside Jackson Cole in the quiet medical bay. His arm was wrapped, his face had cuts, but he was smiling. You look terrible, she said softly. You should see the other guy, he joked. They laughed. Then silence. You risked war to come after me, Jackson said, looking at her. I risked everything, she replied, and I would do it again. Jackson nodded slowly. Then I guess there's no going back. No, she said. Not for you. Not for me. Not for this empire. When the cruiser landed back on Valthera Prime, the palace was waiting. The crowd was larger than ever. Nobles, citizens, and alien ambassadors stood shoulder to shoulder in the great square. Rumors had already spread across the stars. The human was taken. The Queen brought him back. The Queen went to war for love. The people cheered when they saw them walk together hand in hand. But the Royal Council was less pleased. Inside the Grand Chamber, counselors stood ready with ancient laws, protests, and warnings. This is madness, one noble shouted. The people chant his name now instead of yours. This union breaks all tradition, yelled another. The line of royal blood will be mixed. Queen Valeria stood at the center, calm but unshaken. You have watched as your queen. Bled, suffered, and led, she said, and yet you still fear change. We fear weakness, one elder cried. She turned sharply. Then fear me. The room went silent. I chose Jackson Cole not because he is human, she said, but because he is strong, loyal, and true. He is what this empire needs. She turned to Jackson. He stepped forward. He wore a ceremonial cloak now, black, with a silver star across his chest. His head was high. I don't come here to take power, Jackson said. I don't want to rule. I want to serve beside her, protect her, and build a future where humans and Cerethians fight together, not against each other. A few counselors still looked angry, but others were listening. You cannot stop this, Velaria said. The people have spoken. The bond is sealed. She raised her hand. A small silver ring glowed around her finger. Then she pressed her palm to Jackson's. A bright golden light exploded between their hands. The sacred bond. Later that night, the two stood on the palace balcony. Below them, the city glowed like a sea of stars. Music played. Lanterns floated into the air. The Empire had accepted them. Not all at once. Not everyone. But enough. You really meant it, Jackson said. You made me your consort. You are more than that, Velaria replied. You are my equal. He looked at her and smiled. Guess I'm royalty now. You always were, she said, gently touching his cheek. You just didn't know it. He laughed. Well, I hope the crown fits. They stood in silence, watching the stars. After a while, Jackson asked, So, what now? Velaria looked into the night sky. Now we lead, she said. Now we build a future where no human or Cerethian has to bleed alone, where strength comes not from fear, but from unity. Jackson nodded slowly. Together. Yes, she said, placing her hand in his. Together. 6 months later. The galaxy had changed. The alliance between Earth and the Cerethian Empire had begun. Trade routes opened. Joint military drills started. Technology was shared. Peace talks expanded across sectors, and at the center of it all, Queen Velaria and consort Jackson Cole. They were known as the Flame and the Shield. She, the fire that ruled the stars. He, the protector who turned pain into peace. Many still doubted them, but many more believed. One evening, far away from the politics and lights, the two sat on a quiet cliff above a lake on Earth. Jackson skipped a stone across the water. I never thought I'd end up here, he said. Let alone with an alien queen. Velaria smiled. I never thought I'd fall in love with a man who jokes during battles. Hey, he said, grinning. That's how I stay alive. They laughed. Then Jackson grew quiet. You know, he said softly. When I jumped in front of that arrow, I didn't think. I just saw you in danger, and my body moved. And that one choice, Velaria whispered, changed the stars. He looked at her. I'd do it again. She leaned in and kissed him gently. I know. And in that moment, two souls, one human, one alien, sat side by side beneath a sky filled with stars, not enemies, not rulers. Just two beings in love at peace in a galaxy they helped save.